Sabrina, I'm so happy that this finally worked out. I really, really love you. I'm so grateful that we became friends and I've wanted to have you on and I love what you're doing. And more than that, I
And I
just
love what you're doing.
so sweet. Um, and thank you for having me on your show. We'll also link
Yes.
to that so you can go back and listen. Let's just start with how the heck did you wind up getting to live this super creative, delicious, sparkly life? What is the arc of the story from where you were to where you are now? How did you wind up in this kind of Mary Poppins sidewalk photo picture where you're like, you have this life where you get to play with color and design and you are in love with a really cute guy and you're a good mom and you're just getting to do a lot of things that feel really fun and fulfilling. So where were you and how did you get to do this very creative life that you have?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. And secondly, for anybody listening, it's quite a ride and goes to show that you can create anything you want out of nothing. And I remember Michael Beckwith said that on The Secret, and it's The Secret really that changed my life. I was living in a okay life. Was newly married. I was in a job that was like 9 to 5. I was making good money, but I was miserable in this job. I knew I didn't belong there. I remember sitting in Baja Fresh waiting for a burrito, and it was like the lunch rush. And I just remember going, I don't belong here. And not that I don't love Baja Fresh and I love their burritos. It was
Oh my
just like
God,
I
I love
knew
you.
I knew that I didn't belong in a lunch rush, that I wanted to do something creative. And I just felt stuck because I was making good money and I was like married to a good guy and we lived in a cute house, but I just felt stuck. And my girlfriend told me about The Secret, and Kathy, it was as if something turned on inside of me like, oh my God, I forgot. Even though nobody had ever introduced these concepts to me, it was almost like I had known, like my soul knew them. That night I fell asleep and I was convinced that I was going to change my life. The next morning, I thought there was a knock at the door, which there wasn't. And I couldn't go back to sleep. And I went on Craigslist and there was a
Oh
job
my
offer for
God.
somebody. They were looking for a designer of that TV credit. And I I was not a designer who had TV credit. I had been on TV, like doing host jobs here and there. And maybe I helped a few friends design like a few things and I had some photos. And I'm like, you know what? F it. Let me just send it. And that was my first HGTV job. 16 weeks later, I was on set filming my first HGTV show that I, by the way, had no business teaching people how to even paint their houses because I didn't know what I was doing. So every day I would show up freaked out because the producer would be like, okay, we're going to film you painting this room. I'm like, oh my God, I don't really know how to paint. So every night I went to this book store called Books A Million in DC, and I got every book I can get my hands on about design, DIY, carpentry. And it was almost like I was in design university by myself every night. So it's not about the faking until you make it. Yes, we all have to do that. It's about when you get that opportunity, you better do whatever you have to educate yourself to be the best that you can be for that opportunity.
Okay, let's just unpack this because this is like the makings of like my favorite movie, and your life is like a movie. Okay, so I love that you bring us right to the very granular moment. You're in Baja Fresh, you're eating a burrito, and you're like, there is more to my destiny than this.
Yeah.
And the next day, you go on Craigslist and you see this ad that they're looking to hire someone, and you don't realize that this is going to wind up putting you on HGTV and giving you your first crack at television. But
No
let's,
idea.
okay, so let's unpack this more. So this is the matrix. This is the portal through the looking glass at Baja Fresh that everybody can access wherever their equivalent is of Baja Fresh in this moment. So what happened in that moment? You saw like a drone view of your life, and what switched inside of you that you were willing to like believe in a greater possibility? What happened? Help
It
me
was
understand what's happening in you in that moment.
It was when I watched The Secret, and every teacher was saying like, you can manifest your dreams. So that next morning when I couldn't sleep, you have to understand, yes, I sent my Craigslist stuff out, but I didn't hear back for a long time. But what changed that next day was I started eating differently. I started working out. Like I was getting ready to be on TV, which nobody was calling me Kathy, but I just knew in my soul I was going to get an opportunity. I just didn't know where it was going to come. I believed that the universe had my back, but I had nothing to solidify that in my life. So even though like I was married at the time, my husband thought I was crazy. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you working out so much?" I got like a cute outfit to wear for an audition which by the way I didn't even have yet. But I convinced myself that the universe was going to bring it one way or another. And so I lived my life according to that rule. And I wasn't wrong because then I finally got a call. And that stupid outfit he told me not to buy, I wore to that audition. And I felt good in my body because I had been taking care of myself up until that point. So I remember being on that because back then ellipticals were really hot. So I remember being on the elliptical listening to probably like Eminem and going like I'm basically practicing for the opportunity.
Okay, so this is so good. Essentially, what you're saying is you changed the identity of who you believed you were.
That's
And
right.
once you told yourself the truth about who you really were, all of your energy, the being of who you were being changed, which made you then do things differently. And
Yes.
then had you had a dream to do design? Like, why did you answer that particular message on Craigslist?
I always loved design and doing interiors. I remember there was this woman, I think her name was Samantha Brown. Not, oh, maybe it was, I don't remember. She had this PBS show that she used to do these crafts. And I remember watching it going, God, I wish I could have that job. But it's like when you feel that, God, I wish I could, whatever, the universe goes, "Pew." And then all of a sudden, it's like this little seed you just planted that is going to sprout if you support the soil. And that is, for me, it was, I needed to get my body ready because my self-esteem wasn't that high because I wasn't really taking care of myself. I wasn't in great shape. So I needed to make certain little changes in my life so that I did feel better about myself and my self-esteem was higher. And that's what I think the kicker is like when you really believe in yourself and you take care of yourself and you live in that higher frequency, the universe will magnetize whatever it takes to bring your dreams to life.
Mm, that's so exciting. Okay, so the actual ad on Craigslist read, what were they looking for?
It says something like they're looking for a designer who had TV experience for a new home renovation show. And another thing happened too. I remember that day like it was yesterday. It was almost like somebody took over my body because the man who his name was Steve Edelman, he owned Edelman Productions. He was interviewing me, and something told me to tell him that I staged homes with my mom, which was
Oh my God, I love that. So specific. Did
it
you
was
know
so
I
specific,
staged
but
homes?
and he goes, "We're actually looking for a stager for another show." Now, had I not said those words, the show I was there to audition never even got greenlit. The show, when I said staging, that's the show that got greenlit. And Kathy, I don't even know why I told him that because I think I'd staged like one house with my mom. Like it was wild.
Okay, that's even there's so much juiciness to this, and I'm so grateful to you that you have the enthusiasm for the story, but you also have so much humility that you're like, oh my God, let's unpack it. Because it's such a gift to give other people to like really take them through beat by beat what was actually at play here. Because it's all your energy and it's all what you were willing to step into, right? Because so many people, it's the imposter syndrome of like, who am I to go on this interview? Who am I to even submit if I don't have TV experience? And then there's this other version of you that says, but I am this powerful, incredibly lit up soul. And so that is what's got to matter more. So I'm going for it anyway. And how many stories have I been told in my life or have I lived out that are exactly that, where your willingness to stand fully for what's possible meets a greater possibility that somebody else would have not even put themselves in the running for, because they would do the math on whatever version of themselves is actually the smallest version of them. And then they can't quite equate, how could I stand for what this person is asking me to be? It's like, you're so much more than that. So then you mentioned this thing, the show that you actually were writing to him about initially doesn't even happen. And
It
then
doesn't
what
even
happens
happen.
next? What happens next?
I am on the show, but here, let me tell you the flip side to all of what happened is that the imposter syndrome came crashing down. I felt like a fraud, but then I actually went to go get my certification in design. And I remember a friend of mine's like, cut it out. You are creative, or else people wouldn't love your show. You are more than just a designer. People are watching you because you're dynamic and you're funny and you have humility to you and you keep the audience engaged. It's not about knowing the paint colors. Anyone can know the paint colors. So that took a while to get over that hump. And I still kind of feel like I have imposter syndrome, but I then have to remind myself that I am more than just the Martha Stewart that everybody thinks I am on television. And
Okay.
so I'm on set, I'm filming every day, and every night I would take myself out to dinner with a book and sit there and read. And I had these like folders, those marble folders that you used in school, and I have them just full and full of information. And every morning I used to come to the producer and be like, I want to talk about these 5 tips this week on the show. They're like, okay. And those tips, those little takeaway moments, I think is what made the show so successful, because the show is about selling your house. But whether or not you were selling your house, you could still take those tips I was talking about to like teach yourself how to change a light fixture by yourself, or how to really stay in a cabinet. It wasn't just about selling the house. So I think that's where the magic was, that I was teaching myself, but at the same time I was teaching the audience.
I don't know if you know the story, you probably do because you guys are probably besties, but when the Property Brothers were on my show, they told me a very similar story that like basically one of them wanted to do design and construction, the other one wanted to be an actor. He wasn't, nothing really was going right. And they decided to submit this like video of them talking about like flipping homes and no clue what they were doing. And it turned into this empire, right? And I think what is so important about what you just said is that human beings do not ask us to be perfect.
Right. They
They
actually don't like
don't.
it. They don't like
No, no one actually wants that. What's magnetizing is a person who is fully authentic, right?
it.
And
Yeah.
instead of saying, oh my God, I have all the answers, nobody wants to be preached to. Nobody wants the person who's the goody two shoes with all the information. What we want is someone who's like, not look at me, but come with me. Like, I'm figuring this out. And you are so relatable because you relate. You're relatable because you emote. And we're not logical beings that are needing people to get a perfect score. We're looking for people who we see ourselves in. And so this is so big what you're saying right now. Like, what does that even mean, imposter syndrome? It's the fact that you are a quote unquote not perfect imposter person
It's
that makes
so
you the
true.
perfect person.
Well, it's funny. I was having this conversation with a friend the other day. They're reevaluating their life with alcohol, and they said that the friend that was having this conversation had said, how bad alcohol was, but he's never actually been drunk in his life. And I'm like, you can't take advice from somebody who's like,
Yeah,
I need to get advice from the person who not only got
of
drunk a lot,
course.
but texted their ex, woke up somewhere. They're like, where am I? Like
It's true. It's 100% true.
I want to
It's
hear
like
from somebody who's never lived it.
it's 100% true. You can't get home. You can't get directions home from someone who's never known your address. It's like,
Right.
I need you to have walked this path so that I actually understand that you fully get what this decision is for me at the core, right? You get what my struggle is. So, it's so good. Okay, so you're saying you're in this meeting, you mentioned the staging thing, then you wind up on set and you're shooting. So you literally got cast in a show from that meeting.
Yeah, well, it was a few different like meetings. So it's like once, then I had to go and really try to stage a house with that it was really belonged to the owner of the production company. So there were different steps,
Yeah.
but again, what's even more ironic about all of this is that when I was 17, we were homeless. So it's like it's
Oh
not
my
lost
God.
on me that here I am at one point in my life, not even having a home or a roof over my head. And now I am creating beautiful spaces for people. That's why I'm saying it's been quite a ride.
It's really unbelievably, it's magnificent because it really shows that our human capital is our capacity for belief. Like, how much can you muster in your belief in yourself and in the world? So when you were 17, you were homeless. Would you say more about that? What was that experience like? What does that mean?
I was in high school. My parents split up. The mortgage was not paid. And it took a while, thank God. It took them about, I want to say 11, 12 months for the bank to actually come and physically remove us from the house. But what happened during that time is I became best friends with the house. It was like my Wilson on the Castaway. And I would come home. I was a latchkey kid. And I'm like, okay, I'll take care of you if you take care of me. And it created this entire passion for creating a beautiful house when you have nothing, when you have zero money. And when the house actually got taken away from us, my friends were shocked because they had no idea when they would come over that the house was in such disrepair because it looked organized and clean. And that's why I'm so good at these shows because I know what it takes to create something out of nothing. And I do it still in my life every day. I mean, I love to clip a coupon. Don't get me, I don't care if the person behind me has to wait 5 minutes, I will save 50 cents.
Oh my God,
Call
you
the
just
manager.
totally brought tears to my eyes. That is so beautiful and so moving. And it makes so much sense that your sole assignment wound up being literally taking homes that were first just houses and making them homes. And it's just, it really is wild that like the medicine is it's like what does an antibiotic do? It gives you a little bit of a little bit of the struggle in order for your body to create the medicine, right? It's like
Right.
those of us who've gone through certain things that feel really challenging, it winds up sometimes activating within us what creates the answer for other people. That's very moving, powerful. Wow. So here you are, and you're now doing whatever that first initial show was, but you've done several different versions of shows. So that first one, when you met Mr. Edelman, what year was that?
That was 2006.
Okay, so it's almost 20 years ago. So you do that, and
Yeah.
then that spins into what was next?
It was spinning into more and more shows. I ended up decorating the White House for Christmas on our
Oh,
special. I became Target spokesperson for 3 years. I had my own baby and kids line. I had a bedding line at HSN. I mean, it just created this whole, runaway train that was it's still really fun. I just am now more specific in the opportunities that I want to take on. And I want to be more in the motivational space because I do believe that we have the opportunity to create the life that we want. And I constantly have struggle with my life still now and have to get back on the train and have to get back on the train. It's not like I live this perfect life. I still second guess myself. I sabotage myself all the time. Sometimes I make mistakes, but I have to remind myself, oh shit, like get back on, stop this behavior. And everybody's got their struggles. And if for everyone it's different, it's about not perfection. It's about reminding yourself who you are. And I forget all the time who I am.
yeah, that's really well said because I think that that's very universal. You know what strikes me, and I'd love you to speak about this. So often people carry, these beliefs that are hardwired around scarcity. And very often, if somebody has gone through such a financial trauma like that, as you did when you were a kid, it becomes something that is so ingrained that there is a whole, sort of cobweb of things happening internally around scarcity. And yet you've created a tremendous amount of abundance in your life, and not just in being able to eat where you want, Baja Fresh or wherever else, but also just in abundance in really cool opportunities, really cool people. So how have you overcome that scarcity trauma and that wiring, and what do you see in people when they're still holding on to that you might suggest is helpful to rewire what we believe is possible in terms of money and financial well-being?
For me, I mean, I haven't overcome it because I do find myself slipping. There are days that I don't do this anymore, but I used to put together all the money I'd saved and then with a calculator, calculate how many days or like how many months or years I could live without having to like OnlyFans myself, you know?
Oh my God, you're so cute. Okay, guys, that's it. We've hit the moment. Here we go. Oh my God.
But I mean, I still struggle with it, but I have to stop. I have to believe again, the universe has always rewarded me when I get in line. And when I mean get in line, I mean being taking care of myself and what I ingest, what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, what I'm looking at, what I'm listening to, who I'm around. When I really get in line with that and stop the BS, everything always works out. It always has and it always does. It's just there's sometimes when I feel a lack, I realize I have to calibrate myself because I've got the power inside of me. It's not anywhere else. And I notice it when I'm like, well, they're not calling me and they're not this. And it's like, girl, shut it up.
Okay, so see, that is really like the secret answer key to the universe is it's inside of you. And people, they hear that. I mean, we've heard it since The Wizard of Oz, click your heels, like you are home, your home is, you're the one with the map, but we don't really know that to be true. Like people really hold on to that the life they're living is because these are the cards that are being dealt. These are the opportunities available or not. This is what is, this is what isn't. Don't you get it? This is reality versus inside of you lives a force
Yes.
can change
Anything.
anything. So how do you help people? How do you know that? How did you learn that? And what does that mean that you can access that force within yourself when people feel like you said, maybe they forgot. They don't know that that's in them.
I know it for sure because I've seen it time and time again in my own life, both sides. I see when I get out of line how things don't work out for me. And I have seen when I do get, back into taking care of myself that everything, it's like I'm a magnet. And I think that everyone has their self-sabotage behaviors, whether it be food, drinking, porn, gambling, shopping, whatever. Everyone's got their thing. And if you don't have one, you're a liar because we all do. And it's about getting yourself into a mindset. I'm not asking you to be perfect, but just making improvements every day of your life to get back home, to get back home to yourself. And sometimes I notice that I can't, it's the quiet times, turning off the phone, really do, just even if it's 5 minutes of me just sitting in either nature or I don't even care if it's my bedroom and just being quiet so that I can hear myself. And when I say myself, it's really, I believe I'm talking to the universe. I get downloaded information sometimes, but there are many days because I'm a mom and I'm busy that I just don't even give myself that gift. So, it's still a learning curve to me, but I truly know whoever is listening to this has the power within them to completely change their life. And it doesn't take a long time. The universe is fast. The universe is so fast, and you'd be so shocked the magic that can happen when you start taking little baby steps.
You're such an incredible teacher of this because it is you. Like there are people who say things, but they haven't yet embodied them. You are literally rainbow bright. Like you are in the current of this. This is everything that you imprint into the world. Your signature of you is this. And that is such an incredible, may you only know what oxygen you give the world just being you, because it is so Tinkerbell. And it's why you make beautiful spaces, because the energy is so beautiful. You're such a ray of light. So let me ask you this, because you just
First
talked
of all,
about,
I love you for saying that and know that I've been through it too. This is also somebody who's been in very abusive relationships. I'm divorced. I was a single mom for a long time. I've been through it too. This hasn't been a Tinkerbell life.
but that is exactly why, as we said before, you really integrated all of this, because not at a superficial level. Like you've literally walked the dark night of the soul to where what's coming out of you is you at this point. Like you've had to fully like go deep inside. And so that was going to be my next question, which is that you mentioned that within you, what's within you. I feel like so much of the time people are spending in their life is not meeting with themselves at all. Like whether we're looking and scrolling a phone or we're thinking about all the ways that people have made suggestions about who we should be or what's next or how busy we are, there's very little time that's quiet time for us to really come home to ourselves in the deepest way and to hear the whispers of our soul. And so what is it that you do currently, or what is it that you've done that actually made you available to go within? What does that even mean to you? What is a practice, or what is a moment that reflects how you make any space for that?
I am like a guinea pig of life, and that my mom sort of makes fun of me because I've done it all. I mean, I paid $121 for some shaman in San Bernardino to spit vodka on my back and hit me with basil, to going to the Hoffman Institute, to doing psilocybin with a shaman. I mean, I have tried everything. So my mom's like, "How do you even know what works? You do everything." I'm like, "Who cares? Who cares what
You
works?" I feel
sound just like me. Yeah.
yeah, like, but the smallest thing I do is a gratitude journal. I actually created a mother-child gratitude journal that's on Amazon because I found that just starting the day off, writing 3 to 5 things I'm grateful for starts my day off right. That's the smallest thing I could do. The biggest thing I think I do is really meditating. I get my all of my ideas when I really meditate. And then movement. And the movement is for me not just for working out and looking good, which by the way, of course we all want to. It's more of again just the taking care of myself. But it's in the quiet times that my whole life changes. And in those quiet times, sometimes I hear my inner, guides or whoever you want to call them be like, girl, stop listening to those crime podcasts. Like,
Oh
cut
my
it
God.
out.
It's so hilarious how like the number one, shows are all about murder. And then who listens to them? Women. And then women are like, why am I so stressed out? It's like, well,
Totally.
you're like listening to like true crime all day. You're like, oh, my nervous system is a little distracted. What are you doing? But I get it. It's, which one I really liked. I mean, I'm not alone in this, but I loved both seasons of Dead to Me. I was just like, I could watch that show all day.
Okay, I don't even want to write it down because I can't get hooked to another one.
Have you not seen that show with Christina
No,
Applegate?
no.
Oh my God.
I don't watch
No,
television.
no, 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 no. This is like must see TV. Like you
Okay,
gotta
okay,
watch.
okay.
It's the best. Okay, you can thank me later. Okay, but anyway, we digress. So, what meditation do you do? You said meditation. Which one? What kind like of meditation? What does
I
meditation
did
look like for you?
I learned how to do transcendental meditation, which is great. Except it's mantra based, and I noticed that it's just keeping my mind sort of busy. What I like is just quiet, just legitimately just sitting in quietness and just being still,
Yeah.
which doesn't take anything, doesn't take any money. You don't even have to sit in a fancy pillow if you don't want to. I don't care if you're sitting in your car. It's just the quiet, and sometimes for 5 minutes. Sometimes I'll go like a little bit early to a yoga class, and I'll sit in the room, and it's like, okay, now I'm forced to like sit here and be quiet.
Okay, so what's interesting is that I don't remember the exact data around this, but people are so scared of being quiet because what they hear, the amount of painful self-critique, they would rather, walk over coals and sit quietly in a room alone.
I know I'm actually keep nodding my head if you're forgetting that there's a podcast and people are just listening. But for anyone listening, I am nodding my head. That is so true. And that's okay because listen to those things you are saying to yourself and just start being aware of the negative self-talk and just little by little start improving those things you think are bad about yourself so that you don't we all have negative self-talk, but if you're calling yourself lazy and you're doing that all the time, then maybe try moving for 5 minutes that day. Just start talking back and being aware of that criticism. But I mean, the goal is for us to not talk to ourselves like that because we are our worst critics, and That's also a problem.
It's really beautiful that you can just make space for it. And it really is so interesting. I mean, for me, I think what set me free is the understanding that I'm not any of that. Like what I really am is my soul, right? And my soul is like anybody's soul. It's just like an extension of God and pure light. And when you really, really know thyself, you understand that that is what you really are, who you were since conception. And it is pretty intimidating to sit and listen for a moment to what the thoughts are. But when you lean in and try to maybe do what you just said, which is like bring some compassion to it, maybe there's some awareness. And over time, hopefully, you just by being aware, maybe stop the onslaught of
Yeah. You're
self
not supposed to
harm.
be perfect. And it's so hard now with social media and everybody using these freaking filters and all this just nonsense that we assume that everyone's living this best life and our life sucks. And it's like these people, those are highlight reels. Nobody's posting when
No,
they have diarrhea. You know, I mean, by the way, I don't want to see that. So please don't post that. But I'm just
please
saying,
don't.
yeah. I'm just saying, like, no one is perfect. Nobody. And nobody is, you're not supposed to live up to this ideal notion, like magazine worth
Yeah.
life. It's not real.
Right now, you have so much fun stuff going on. You recently released a new show.
Yes.
Tell us about the new show and why that feels so exciting and so fun.
I have been trying to make this show for 10 years. 10 MFing years of me trying to make this show of people saying nobody wants to listen to that, nobody wants to hear that, too spiritual, too woo woo. People just want to see before and afters. And I knew in my heart that the content was going to be so good that it was going to change people's lives. And I never gave up. And I can't believe that we finally got it made. It's called The Sabrina Soto Show. I got to merge all the things I'm passionate about: home, wellness, mindset, spirituality, food. We had chef like Kat Cora, Chef Marcella, all of the most amazing people. Michael Beckwith was on it, Lewis Howes, Danny Morell. So it was every single segment I love in my life, even fashion segments. But there's not one episode that you'll watch, and I'm promising who's ever listening to this, there's not an episode that you're not going to have some takeaway from each episode. You'll learn something that will make your life a little bit better, and it's also entertaining and fun and bright and deep as well.
And where can they watch it?
It's on Hulu, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Tubi, Roku, the Design Network.
My gosh. And what has the response been from people?
So, I mean, honestly, Kathy, I cry sometimes because when I get DMs from women, especially, and men telling me that it changed their life in one way, either learning how to meditate, learning how to work out the house, a fun recipe, the conversation with Danny Morell, knowing what breath work is, because we did breath work on the show. And by the way, the breath work segment was my ex on one side of me and my fiance on the other side of me. So nobody
Wow.
even knew that, but that was Danny's idea. So it was a lot of powerful segments, but such a fun show. So please watch it
What
and DM me if you do, because I love to read them.
What a like there's so much progress in the fact that you got TV to make that because that's really what we need to be looking and watching and taking in. And it's really cutting edge that you were able to pull that off. And who better than you because you're so lovable and you're so loving and you're so inspired and you're so curious. And so I really it makes perfect sense and I hope that that's the beginning of you taking us on like so many journeys through the way you see the world and the way that you nourish yourself because it's through that doorway that so many people are going to cross their own ocean because you've already crossed, right? And you're crossing continuously.
Well, that's how I feel. I tell everybody, I'm on this road of life with you. I just happen to be one exit ahead, and I'm going to tell you what the best
Yeah.
rest stops are, and where to get off and get that burrito, and when to just keep going. And I'll let you know where the best parts to stop are, because I've done it all.
It's totally true. You are that person to say I'm just one exit ahead and let me help you. When you are in creative mode, because so much of your work is creative, I know that there are so many people that listen to the show who naturally are inclined and they have certain gifts, right? Whether they're wanting to write or paint or they're wanting to create a business or floral arranging or whatever it is. And then there is sometimes this like huge block, like a real impediment, because as soon as they begin to do something that feels fun, this critique comes in and it kind of moves them away from flow. How do you how do you articulate what flow state feels like to you, and what would be your suggestion to help people get into some creative flow?
That is such a great question because I just felt this the other day. When you are doing something and you can't, like, it's so invigorating to you that you want to wake up early to do it, or you kind of have the energy to even stay up late on whether it's your computer or a canvas or whatever it is. That's flow. And do not let the people in your life, or maybe like Google, let's say you want to make ceramics, but then you Google how much can I make doing ceramics a year, and then it's like $10,000. No, like don't do that. Like, stay in flow, figure out, like, be quiet a little bit to figure out where the ideas can come from, where you could, and then all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, I should call Kathy because I think she knows somebody who owns like a little shop. They will come to you. So you stay in flow, keep yourself grounded. And then when you have that intuitive, like, oh, I should go do this or do, follow up on that. Don't listen to the people in your life that don't believe your ceramics are good, or if you feel it, keep it going. And, and then listen to the little, I call them pings that come into your heart.
Ah, it's so good. I don't know if you know Jonathan Adler's story, but you guys probably know each other as people. Jonathan Adler.
I know, of course, who he is.
Yeah. But I remember having him on our show early on when we just started 8 years ago. And he, of course, started in ceramics. And the story is so cool because he had gotten fired from like every job. Anyway, long story short, somebody said to him, when was the last time you liked something you did? And he's like, I don't know. I did ceramics when I was in like seventh grade. And he started making some pieces, not knowing what or how the market would bear. And he just like called up Barney's and was like, would you take a look at these? And they were like, these are good, but you have the wrong glaze. Anyway, he changed the glaze. He got into Barney's. The rest is history. But we make it so much harder than it needs to be.
That's
Like
right.
we think that before we even begin to like throw paint on the canvas, we need to have all of the things laid out. And we really, really don't.
I
Like,
promise you, you
oh
don't.
my
If you didn't
God.
just listen to my story, I didn't even know how to paint a room. And by the way, if anybody could get episode 1 of Get It Sold on HGTV, watch it. You'll see when I'm rolling that paint roller. I had no idea what I was doing. My point is, just trust that you'll figure it out while it's okay to figure it out while you're doing it.
Yeah.
And just trust that, one thing will lead to another. And just even with this show, it was like one call made to another call. And then a friend of mine told me, oh, you should have so and so on. And you, Kathy, like, I was introduced to you because I was on a walk with a friend who's like, I'm reading this book, and then I read your book, and then I DM'd you on a hike, thinking like, this, she's never gonna respond to me. But you are. And I was just shocked when you did respond to me. And now we're friends. It's like you just
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
Take
It's
the
amazing.
chance. Take
It
the
is,
chance.
it's amazing, like you said, how fast the universe is and how quickly it's responding to your being willing for the miracle. It's like if you're available for it, that's how quickly it shows up. If you're really not in doubt and you're really available for it. I think that's such an incredible takeaway.
And
And
get rid of the noise. Get rid of the noise of your life. Whoever, it could be your best friend who's secretly jealous of you, to
now,
the food that you doesn't make you feel good, to whatever. Try to eliminate the noise of your life.
wow, that's big, right? Because we don't realize that so many people around us are keeping us from that ascending because they don't see it for themselves. And so you don't even realize how you feel disloyal if you step out of that, or they might be taking your light, right? And they're telling it to you for your own good. And really, it's like diminishing what you could be creating. That's really powerful. And it's just sometimes time to audit. It's sometimes time to audit the people that you spend time with and really be precise. As far as like the tangible stuff, what are you loving right now? What are your favorite styles in terms of like home aesthetic? I'm just curious. Are you like a farmhouse person? Are you like a Cape Cod person? Are you a minimalist? Like, what do you personally love? I'm just curious.
I'm Cuban, so both my parents are from Cuba. So I love color, but I still have the big pieces neutral. I do love that now people are inviting more warmth into their interiors. So we're kind of getting away from all the grays, and we're liking creams and ivories and the browns and the walnuts and more organics, shapes, because I do love, a cozy feeling of the house. I don't like trends though, because I feel like your house should tell your story. Your house should not look like a magazine. I should walk
Uh,
around and be able to see things that you've collected or things that bring joy to your life. But I do love that people are creating more of a storybook with their homes than before, of just having everything gray and white.
First of all, I love that you said that. I love that our audience is like kind of hearing you talk about being Cuban and the color, but I also really love what you just said about it should tell your story. Because I do think it's weird when you go into a house and it looks beautiful, but you feel like the person is sort of outside in. It's like somebody hired a designer who told them to do a certain kind of cream wall or, whatever what's the new thing they do on these walls? It's
The lime
the
wash.
lime wash and
Yeah.
it's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
But then you walk through the house and you're like, I don't see this person in the house. I just
Right.
see a house that like is somebody copy pasted, the perfect new, it's like a set. It's like they're living in a set.
Right.
So how do you
Yeah, don't listen
advise?
to those people. It like I get people DMing, I really love this color pink, but my mother-in-law thinks, and I'm like, is that going to make you happy, the pink room? Paint it. Paint it. Because
Yeah.
you need to wake up to that every morning, and it's what invigorates you. And
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's the smallest little thing. It's so silly, Kathy, but I have these really cozy slippers. Oh my God, I have them on right now. Hold on. Okay. And
Those are pretty cozy slippers.
I have them always at my front door. So when I get in, my nervous system gets reset immediately in my front door with coziness. And it's those small little things. I don't care if it's a throw pillow. I don't care if it's a framed photo of your dog. Bring bring love and passion into your house, because your home carries you. Your home holds your life, and you need to it has energy. So act like your home is your best friend, because it'll hold you just as much as, you hold it.
It's so beautiful what you're saying, and it goes back to like, it's not our job to perform. I mean, when you really think about it, it's kind of soul crushing to think that even at the level of our own home, we wouldn't do what feels good.
We abandon ourselves.
Like, what the heck? How is that even in the conversation? Shouldn't this be the environment that just makes you feel warm, whether it's, you know, I have a rocking chair that was my grandmother's, and it's like I've just continued to take it with me from house to house because when I see it, it just makes me feel like love is in the
Yeah.
room. So it is really fascinating the level at which we self-abandon that we don't even notice anymore, that we're willing to create our own home around what would feel like it's in fashion versus what makes us feel cozy.
I can do an entire podcast about that in itself, because we abandon ourselves sometimes of doing things that are quote unquote chic or on trend, but we also abandon ourselves sometimes with clutter and holding on to things that no longer serve us, closets that you can't even get into because there's so much stuff. So it kind of goes both ways. I mean, I'm writing about that now, of like your home should really support your lifestyle and can actually improve how you manifest if you take care of it.
Say more about that. Do you feel like you're right now talking about like feng shui, or do you feel like you're saying something deeper? Even
I'm not, it's not a feng shui at all. I can walk into people's homes, and because I've been doing this for so long, I could tell something's going on with this part of her life or whatever, only because, for instance, if the house is immaculate, okay, but you open up every drawer and closet and it like in shambles, Usually that's telling me that you care more about how people perceive you than how you feel about yourself.
Oh
Because
my,
it's the enclosed spaces that are a mess. And that's usually if somebody's dealing with some sort of.
wow. What do you think about the size of a home? Because I was just speaking to a friend about this, and I was telling her that for whatever the reason, what's coming through to me is that I want a smaller house. And I said, "Do you think that's me not being able to receive sort of the life that I have?" And she said, "No, there's literally data around how human beings feel better. Your nervous system feels better if the house is a certain size. And if it's bigger than that, what do you know about that?"
Well, okay, so it depends. Everyone again is different. There's no one size fits all. But if the vastness, like if the house is so big that it's overwhelming you to take care of that home, that's actually hurting your nervous system. Now, if you have a staff and you've got, a butler on every
Oh my God.
well, that's different. But I'm saying if you have a house that's so big and it's maybe even like it doesn't feel cozy or home,
Yeah.
that's not great for you. It's how you feel when you walk into your house. But there's some people that love having the West Wing and the East Wing and whatever. And maybe they have a bigger family. It really depends on your heart, your soul, where you want to be. I like smaller spaces because it's easier for me to maintain, but it's also I like the coziness of it and I like the acoustics of a more cozy house.
What do you think, just, and this is just anecdotal, but what do you think is your favorite size house that if you could be like, that is like perfection?
I mean, I've lived in a studio apartment that I freaking loved with a Murphy bed that I didn't even have to make the bed. I just slammed it
Yeah,
shut. But I live in a house now that most people consider small. I think this is perfect, but it's only me and Olivia. When I get married at the end of the year, that may change. I think it always changes with your lifestyle and your needs.
that makes sense. Um, what is, just one quick design thing? What is something you designed over the course of your career that you just, it was one of your favorites? Is there a kitchen? Is there a front porch? Is there a garden? Like, what's something that comes to mind that is just like truly like was such a highlight for you because of how it felt, or because you got to be very specific with it, or you feel like it's very singular? What comes to
I love the house that I've created for Livy and myself. Like I love this house, but what comes to mind was a home I did last year. It was a husband and wife. They hadn't slept together in 6 months because she had a lot of clutter. She was over shopping. The room was so cluttered that she couldn't even he didn't want to sleep in it because it gave him a lot of stress. And I came in and we got through a lot of stuff. We donated a lot of stuff, and still DMs me all the time, like, you've changed my life. And I think that design should do that. It should support you, and it should support the people that live in there. And it does change people's lives because it changes the way you live.
Oh my God. It's so deep what you're saying about, I thought you were gonna say, oh, there was this like pink armoire, and you were talking about it from such a deep place of recreating a space so that we can really make it a habitat,
Yep.
right? Like that's really what you're talking about, which is so good and so much the reason why everybody wants to keep hearing everything that you have to say and the ways that you look at the world. And you also have a podcast, and people should find you there.
It's
And
called Redesigning Life. And you were on it too, thank goodness. I mean, I love you. I love you so much, Kathy Hiller. And
you're
I
so
love your
sweet.
book and I love your podcast. By the way, your episode with Mike Dooley, Chef's Kiss.
I know that was, he's great.
Yes,
That
that
was
was a
so
great
good.
one. So good.
He's so good. I love how he says the universe is not net neutral, it's net positive. Like it's just amazing. Um, Tell everybody where is the best place for them to begin the journey if they want to find you and follow along. Should they go to the show? Should they go to your Instagram? Where do you want to send
Come
them?
to my Instagram. Please watch the show again. It's everywhere you can stream. I mean, I don't think there's one streamer that doesn't have it
Done.
available. It's called the Sabrina Soto Show. Please watch and please DM me. I really do read my DMs, and I'm lucky enough I haven't gotten anything raunchy yet. So I still
Yeah.
read all of my
Oh my
DMs.
God. This was just so much fun, and I feel so filled up. I feel like I just had a IV drip of every vitamin and nutrient just being in your company. It's such a blessing to be in your company.
You're the best. Thank you so much for having me.